In today's video, I'm going to make a Japanese-style chair. It might not be exact, but the shape is inspired by those traditional curves, at least in my mind. This little project is made from scraps that were left after previous orders and were lying in the corner. Because it is a pity to throw away, so I decided to put them to use. I'll also show you solutions how to work with curved surfaces. And I'll show you how to pour epoxy resin without breaking the bank. Looking ahead, there is not a single flat surface in this stool. All right, enough talking, let's go. First, I level both sides of the workpiece and saw off the excess. The easiest way to do this is with a CNC machine. If you don't have a CNC machine and can't order a service, you can make a jig for a hand mill and calibrate it that way. You might say, hey, are you crazy or what? You're throwing such boards into the waste? And you'd be right, but the truth is, most of my clients want perfect wood, free of knots or cracks. That's why I end up with these scraps. Next up is the work of the CNC machine. I forgot to mention that this part is a stool seat. The machining time for this part is about an hour on both sides. Next up are the legs. I pre-leveled these blanks on a CNC machine. I didn't take a chance leveling these parts on the jointer. It's not safe because they're very short, and why would I risk it if I've got CNC machine right there? I cut them with a reserve so that there was room to screw them to the machine. One piece was a bit too narrow, so I'm just going to glue the bar on. The next problem is that a little bit of the thickness is missing from the blank. I've got some pancakes like this left over from a project. It's 10 millimeters thick, so it'll work. I'll cut them and glue them on. The only catch is that these pancakes are solid oak veneered on both sides. After I process it, there might be an unsightly seam. Just a quick favor. If you like what I'm doing, I'd really appreciate it if you could support my work by liking and subscribing to my channel. And if you comment and share this video with your friends, you'll be the best. Let's get back to work. Next, these blanks go back to the CNC machine. It's the same process as for the seat. All four parts are pretty similar, so I'm not going to show how they're all processed. I'll just say that all the parts, including the seat, took about 3.5 hours to process. As I feared, the glue seam showed up. I'll figure out what to do about it. I might just leave it though, since today's theme is Project from Scraps. To get the dominoes in the right spots, I made a little jig. I screwed it on with screws. The dowel is 14 millimeters thick. I use polyurethane glue for gluing. I like it because it gives a very strong connection in tandem with dominoes, such a seam to break without chances. It also dries much faster than PVA glue, so you can keep working on it after just 2 to 3 hours. Just be careful not to go overboard, or you'll have a lot of sanding to do. That's what I was talking about. There's a bit too much glue, but don't worry, it's easily trimmed off with a knife. Since the cutter is spherical, the corners after machining end up rounded, but I need a sharp angle here. Next, I need to make the domino holes. The issue is that I can't reach there with a router. I had to come up with a little device. To make the domino holes in the legs, I had to make another device. It's time to get the parts ready for epoxy pouring. First, I'm going to sand, but not the whole part, just the places where the epoxy will be poured. And I'll clean out all the cracks and other imperfections. I've got an idea. I'm wondering if the Scotch tape would hold the epoxy. What do you think? Let's give it a shot. Then I'll cover the underside with tape, being extra careful to make sure it's on tight. This piece is glued to match the shape of the part as closely as possible. On the top side, I make a border out of the same material and duct tape it very tightly. I think it should work. They say if the tape doesn't work, there isn't enough tape. Now it's time to start the pouring. I add all the ingredients according to the manufacturer's directions and stir for about a minute. Then I pour it into a new container and stir again. I repeat this step one more time. Then I let the epoxy rest for a couple minutes to get rid of any bubbles, and then I pour it onto the workpiece. Since the part is curved, I had to pour more epoxy. Yeah, and maybe I should have made the beads a little closer to the pour point. I'm already looking forward to the damn sanding. The epoxy leaked out after all. I guess there wasn't enough tape. At least the tabletop was lacquered, so it was easy to clean. In the end, it's unfortunate about the epoxy seeping out, but there's a silver lining. The epoxy came right off with a chisel in the taped areas. Because it doesn't stick to the tape. You can see it on the screen. Now it's time to sand. This took about an hour. It was a real pain to sand off 5 millimeters of epoxy. I filled up all the other cracks and imperfections with hot glue. The next thing I had to do was level out the spots where the legs meet. I had to make another device to do that. And one more device. Did someone count how many total devices I used to make this chair? Write in the comments. Finally, the finishing touches before painting. I decided to use a stain for the coating and then apply 2 coats of varnish. By the way, if you are looking for unique furniture, feel free to contact me. I work with custom orders. You can also check out my Etsy shop. Link in description. I forgot to mention that I sanded all parts to 150 grit before painting, and only those places where the epoxy is slightly stroked with 400 grit paper. Why? The lacquer fills in all the scratches that are left after sanding, so you don't have to polish it. Finally, it's time to assemble. I'm using domino dowels and polyurethane glue. Just make sure not to go overboard with the glue like I did last time, since the parts are already painted. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. To be honest, I wasn't sure it would, but it did, and that's great. That's it, the stool is ready. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. And let me know if you'd like me to show you how to make any of the products from wood. Just comment and I'll take care of it if I can. Catch you next time.